Hello, everyone. I am so glad that you are here today. My name is Crystal Sanford, and I am your host for Adventures in Autism Part 3. We are hearing perspectives from an adult self advocate. It is just really a pleasure for me to be able to bring information to families. You can check out our YouTube page at Sanford Autism Advocacy Group for Adventures in Autism Parts 1 and 2. But today I have the honor of getting to interview and share the voice of Nathanael Low. Hi, Nathanael.
Hi, Crystal. Thanks for inviting me on.
Oh, such a pleasure. And thank you for saying yes to being my guest today. For those of you who don't know, I'm Crystal Sanford. I often lead the Thriving Autism Families Conference. You may be joining us from our online parent community, or you may have stopped by our YouTube channel. I'm a parent of an autistic child, a teenager. I have two neurodivergent kiddos. I'm a speech pathologist, and I'm an advocate. And we own a small but mighty advocacy group in San Diego, California. And over the years, I have led the Thriving Autism Families podcast and Thriving Special Families podcast. You can find that also on YouTube. And so, over the years, I've told parents something that you can do to help yourself is to listen to the voice of self advocates. I've had the honor of working with children as speech pathologists across the age span who are autistic, and that really helped me in my early parenting journey for my daughter. I've also had the honor of interviewing many adults on the spectrum, and today is another great opportunity. I'm here to really dive into Nathanael's story. Nathanael is an amazing, thriving, autistic individual. Nathanael is a amazing bookkeeper. He's actually the bookkeeper for our company. He's also an amazing creative and a crafting enthusiast, also specializing in bookkeeping and payroll for neurodivergent business owners and small businesses. I believe we met a few years ago through LinkedIn, Nathanael, which was just a godsend at that time because our books were not in a good space. And I'm just so glad that we stumbled across each other.
Yeah, I'm glad I reached out through LinkedIn. You were actually one of my first few clients, and it was so lovely to work with you, and it's been amazing to work with you. I'm glad that we've got your bookkeeping up to date and doing the payroll, and it's moving well.
Oh, so good. Thank you. And I just will say, and I know this will be a part of your story, but for me to see that you were neurodivergent, you were autistic, mattered so much. Um, I appreciate how people on the spectrum are so good at specific things and have such an eye for detail and attention. Like that's who you want doing your books. So I love it, and I thank you, and I'm excited that to see how you've rebranded, and I know you're going to be sharing about that today. So, tell us a little bit about your story, Nathanael, and how life started for you as a young person. Did your parents talk about autism when you were young? Tell us about a little bit about that, how your story was started.
Yeah, so just as a preface, I want to say up front that this interview is about my personal experience and opinions. I am not professionally educated about autism. For facts and guidance, please also listen to folks educated about autism, and there are plenty of professionals out there, both holistic and autistic. So I was homeschooled. I don't specifically remember my parents discussing autism with me. They could have, I don't remember. When I was young, I remember I was vaguely aware of autism, but the only exposure that I had was high support needs, autistic folks, or people with autism. And because of that, I thought that it was an intellectual disability. So I was under a certain understanding of autism when I was young.
Yeah, and I think, and I want to also share, thank you for sharing that, because the old saying is, if you met one person with autism, you've met one person, right? And I would agree that if you've met one autistic individual, that's just one, even if they're twins, right? I mean, the experience can be so different. So I appreciate you sharing that, and also understanding that we're talking about a time in the 90s, right, and
Mhm.
early 2000s, where I can remember just starting to practice as a speech pathologist in the late 90s. And I can remember when we had a student at our school that we were assessing, and the word autism came up. And it was, we were all still learning about what that looked like outside of, like you said, those who had significant needs and did have intellectual disability. And this was one of the first kiddos where he didn't necessarily have that profile. And he was in a typical classroom, and we were just, he was elementary school. So we were just looking at, could this be autism too? So I can imagine your parents, it wasn't probably a point of reference for them, for a young, a young person like you, who probably had some kind of eye contact, and you could do academic work and things like that. So they're like, could it be autism? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we have come a long way now. Here we are now at the recording of this video, February of 2026. And I imagine parents who are watching, you know, have maybe a little bit of a different experience. Um, but share with us what was supportive for you in the early years. Maybe things that people did or said, or resources, things that helped you, or maybe things you wished you would have had access to as a young person.
Yeah. I don't have much of a memory of what did help me when I was younger. So
Okay.
I'm going to talk about what could have helped me.
Sure, sure.
Um, I think what could have helped me was more education and awareness on the spectrum of autism and what the spectrum actually means. And this is what I understand it to be, that the spectrum doesn't mean it's a spectrum of autistic to not autistic.
Yes.
What it is that people can't be more or less autistic. We experience developmental differences or disorder in many different ways, like communication, behaviors, interests, social processing. And this is more so my personal perspective. Within the experience of autism, I think there is another layer, which is the support needs. Some people live with high support needs, some people live with low support needs, and some people seem to fluctuate in the support needs based on environment, personal factors. So I know these are big concepts for a young person, but we can explain them in simpler ways, simpler terms that younger folks can understand. If I had a framework to understand some of the differences
Mhm.
and those differences were accepted, it really would have helped me to accept and love myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. And you're really speaking to, and I hope parents hear this, what a lot of parents hear when they first find out about autism. Sometimes they're told by a pediatrician or a developmental psychologist or something, your child presents as being on the spectrum, level 1, 2, or 3. In this medical model, they like to share that, which is the change that happened after the DSM-4 went to 5, and they made all these changes. So level 1 being lower support, less support needs, right? Level 3 being the most support needs. But people can fluctuate between that. That's what I want parents to hear, because, and this is what I've seen for my daughter as well, right? She's speaking, she's in, typical classes, blah, blah, but she could become dysregulated and have struggles with communicating her needs and wants and all the things. And that doesn't mean she's all of a sudden somebody different. It's just that in that moment, her support needs became higher because of the situation or circumstance.
Yeah, yeah. Um, my support needs have changed a lot as I've grown older and as I have been able to craft my
Mhm.
life more to my strengths.
Yeah. Mhm. And I love that. We are really big proponents of that at our company. The strength based IEP, we've written and talked about and do presentations about as well. Honoring a person's unique strengths, interests, preferences, and then let's use those as a springboard to help see more success. So that's awesome that you've been able to key into that for yourself and develop and create an environment that really works for you. What kind of resources have helped you now as an adult?
Yeah, great question. And I'm going to talk about a bit more about the lifestyle I've created for myself. So, the biggest help that I have had in my life is therapy. And I know that's a big answer. What kind of therapy? What did you learn from it? So, I think the type of therapy that I have done is somatic therapy,
Okay.
learning to feel what your body is feeling. And
Mhm.
for me, starting to tie it to emotions. My body actually experiences emotions differently than other people. And in my 20s, and now I'm in my 30s, started to learn my body's language. But so in therapy, it started with being more kind to myself, by accepting the struggles I was having, different areas of my life, and having compassion for those struggles. And that was really the foundation because um, through this compassion, I started looking into all of these challenges and what they had in common.
Mhm.
And so this was in my early 20s. And what I discovered through looking at all these challenges is like, this is really pointing to autism.
Mhm.
And so then I started really reading on autism, figuring out, okay, do I go and get tested? So I did go and get tested, diagnosed at 25, and my life changed from there. That was kind of my go ahead to change my life how I need to. I already had chronic pain at the time, bone spurs and pinched nerves in my neck.
Mhm.
I had huge life changes with the autism diagnosis, and so I tried an experiment. This experiment was, instead of trying to barrel through everything like I have, just push through it, get through it, this is what life is, I tried an experiment that let's design as much of my life around my natural strengths and preferences. And honestly, my life has changed drastically for the better since then. And it is a continuing experiment. The things I will list are related to the biggest struggles in my life, which was work, socialization, sensory overload, and nutrition.
Okay.
And this may not be available to everyone, and it's not going to be for everyone, but this is what a life designed around my strengths look like and is available to me right now.
Mhm.
So I own my own business. I work from home and I work alone most days because my husband is at work most days.
Mhm.
The people I work with, my clients, I really genuinely enjoy working with them, like Crystal. I really enjoy working with Crystal, and almost everyone I work with, I'm like, oh, good, I get to work with this person again. So,
Mhm.
have being the autistic bookkeeper, I'm able to kind of figure out who I want to work with.
Mhm.
It's worked out so well. My working hours fluctuate week to week based on capacity and need. For socialization, we have family dinners at my husband's parents' house
Mhm.
once a week, and they are very neuroaffirming. I can knit at the dinner table, I can talk or not talk, I can go be alone for a few minutes when I need to, step outside, whatever.
Mm, gosh.
My husband orders groceries and will go and pick it up for us, so I don't have to worry about the food shopping and stuff.
Mhm.
We did prioritize low sound appliances in our house.
I love it.
I have told my husband I hate the sound of fridges,
Mm.
of dishwashers, and then I hate the sound of fans over the stove when you're cooking because of the propane. You know, like you turn on the propane stove and you turn on the fan. I hate it. So we got quiet fridge, quiet dishwasher, an electric stove because you
Huh?
don't have to turn on the fan with an electric stove. So
Oh my gosh.
uh, then a couple other ways were finding ways to get more nutrition easily. I use a nutrition loaded meal replacement shake. I think it's called Garden of Life meal replacement. Has tons of good stuff in it.
Okay.
Uh, I cook, or my husband does this actually. My husband cooks down a ton of different veggies and blends it and then cooks it down further to where it's kind of just this like green, it kind of looks like green salsa,
Okay.
but we just add it into different meals and it adds in a bunch of that nutrition into meals and you can barely taste it. Or I blend up beans into pasta sauce.
Hmm.
And then the last thing is I prioritize mentally stimulating hobbies. That's one that I have discovered this year.
Okay.
This year, I've discovered that
Yeah.
I have found that my mind needs to be very occupied with things that mentally stimulate me. And that can be different things at different times. But if I don't work my mind, I get a ton of anxiety.
Mm.
So those are the things, that's the way I have crafted my life that I can think of so far that has helped so much.
I mean, I'm telling you, Nathaniel, you are blowing my mind here with what it can look like and what you have been able to design that allows you to thrive. It's amazing. I hope we're taking notes as parents here. Not again that every single thing is going to work exactly for you or your child, but under just see what it could be, and then see what study your child. We talk a lot about this in our conferences. Study your child, see what works, see what trends and things that you see them, leaning into more than others, and see what you can do in crafting an environment that supports your child and their unique strengths. I love this. I love this also, and I just was taking notes here. What you said about these specific areas are really the same areas that as parents we see as well. For you was work, for us it's school, trying to navigate that environment, nutrition. For so many of our kiddos, right? Don't they only eat this brown diet? And I've done that too, and I love hearing you say that. Blending up this food and putting it in something to get the nutrition. That's awesome. Socialization, finding social outlets that work for you that are neuroaffirming. I love this. This is so great. I'm going to go back to something that you shared earlier about how you didn't have resources and you kind of came up with some of your own and being identified, finding out officially at 25. Um, we have parents that ask, should I tell my child? This question comes up a lot. My child, the parent knows the child's autistic, and I've worked with kiddos who are in middle school. I spent 10 years working in middle school who didn't know, right? Their parents had not told them about this. And I've seen kids have a lot of different reactions when they found out in middle school. And so for the parent that is concerned, should I tell them? Will they use it as a crutch? I mean, these are things that parents ask us, are they going to feel bad? Or like, what might you say to that?
That's a great question. And I'll preface this by saying everybody's
Yeah.
different. What I mean, my gut reaction is there's, there's, I would tell them, be, because from my perspective, it seems like it would be stigmatized if it's not being told. Like if
Yes.
you're not telling something, then that's a signal. And when you finally tell the child, I might think to myself, well, why didn't you tell me earlier? Did you think that was a bad thing?
Mm.
So that's one perspective. Another perspective about the using it as a crutch. I think that if you may perceive your child as using it as a crutch, it might be that they need support in areas that you may be not aware of, or I'm not quite sure. I don't think, like, if I was younger, I would be accused of using it as a crutch, but then if that was going on, like, I was definitely accused of, like, hey, you're there was a lot of, like, you know, grow up a little bit, or that kind of thing.
Right.
But I was very, very confident that no, I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing. Um yeah, that's my perspective. I don't know.
Oh, I thank you again. It's your lived experience and your perspective, and I appreciate that. I just throw that out there because I've heard parents say that, like, if we tell them that they're autistic, now they're going to say, "Oh, I can't do that because I'm autistic." And
Yeah.
I think it
I,
is all in how you share and present it, like you said.
I will say that my childhood was the hardest time of my life related to autistic experiences.
Mm-hmm.
You have so little control,
Yeah.
you have so little agency, so little ability to problem solve your own environment.
Mm-hmm.
It was so challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. So to be able to then say, this is why, it's because your brain works differently, and what can we do to help you? Like, that probably would have given you some relief.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So parents, don't be afraid. um, and I will say, it looks different for every child in every family, but in our family, our younger child noticed quite early, they're only 2 years apart. She noticed quite early that her older sister was having a hard time with stuff. And so we decided we need to say something here about what's going on. And so we just started saying, hey, sister's brain works differently. We all have things that are hard and things that are easy. And for sister, this is hard. And for you, this is hard. And for me, I need glasses. And so we just made it a thing that wasn't to be, like you said, stigmatized. We just made it that's just how life is. And it's all okay, and they've grown up that way. And my daughter now at 15 will tell anybody I'm autistic and I have ADHD, and she will put on her headphones, or she will, do whatever, and be able to self advocate, I think, in a way, because she understood it early on.
I bring headphones to the movie theater because it's too loud for me.
I love that.
Nobody has said anything to me. If
Yes.
anybody says anything to me, it's like I'm autistic. It's too loud for me. It's not like I'm listening to something else. So it's yeah, it's the
Yeah.
framework is so helpful. And telling the family members, like the younger sibling,
Mm.
provides them an opportunity to advocate for their family member with autism.
Yes, yes, that's true. I love how you brought that up, because then, as well, they have words to be able to share. Well, this is hard for my sister. Or if they're in an environment together, which we often do, send them somewhere together, she can then say, "This is my sister, and this is what's hard, and this is what's easy." Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, we could be here all day, but I'm just going to bring out just a couple more questions, Nathaniel. Again, this is all such great information. What advice do you have for parents if there was something that you would share with parents that you think could help them in their journey, what do you think would be helpful for a parent?
I think there's such a big spectrum of autistic presentation. I think it's very important to meet your child with compassion and use that compassion as a compass to guide how you raise support uh, your child. Um, I also think it's important to question the expectations put on us by others or society. If you are suffering to find a place in mainstream society, do not be ashamed of seeking out how to be more happy, supported, or fulfilled on the fringes of society. This is both for the family and for the child. Think outside the box, think outside the norms. There is no shame in finding your place in the world because everyone matters. And I'm not sure I want to say anything more direct than that. Our lives and situations can be so different that well intentioned advice can be harmful. But for me, I decided to go out on the fringe. I rebranded last year to become the autistic bookkeeper. Best decision of my career so far. Everyone that I have met that has come into my orbit has just been so lovely, and I feel so happy and fulfilled being on maybe the fringe of society to some people. So yeah, finding a place that suits you and your child, the family, naturally. Yeah.
Oh, Nathaniel, you're liberating some people right there with that. Because I think that is what some parents, some of us, and maybe in different spaces of our journey, maybe all of us to some degree struggle with at times is trying to fit into norms, maybe norms that have been imposed, norms that we have self imposed, maybe, dreams, visions that we've had for this child, and then to see that this child now is autistic, maybe now makes us think we have to rethink that. And what does that look like? And I love you liberating us and saying, find a space. Maybe that space is on the fringe. Maybe that space is something you have to create yourself and be okay with that and sit in that and really and find people that celebrate that.
Yeah, I think I mean, the world is so different than 20 years ago. If I was my age 20 years ago, I don't think I could come up
Mhm,
and be the autistic bookkeeper branded like that.
mhm,
So
mhm,
I think we're living in a gorgeous opportunity time for diversity in thought,
mhm,
diversity in how people like. With me finding my career, um, I I got my bookkeeping education, but I did not have the capacity or the ability to work in a normal environment,
mhm, mhm,
to work as a bookkeeper in an office. And so through my education, I knew, oh yes, I'm well equipped to work with business owners. I'm
mhm,
not going to be doing crazy, like wildly complicated things. I
mhm,
have this space to where I can work very well. I'm just going to start a business and find the people that I want to work with, which is mostly autistic and ADHD folks.
mhm,
And that there's no other the autistic bookkeeper. There is very little professionals that are branded for neurodiversity.
mhm,
And my clients, the people that I talk to, are just like, where can I find a marketer? Where can I find a CPA that's autistic? Where can I find, these all these different things? So the world is opening
mhm.
in some perspectives. I just think it's there's opportunity out there.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I mean, I know, like I said, that was really what one of the things that drew me to you in our meeting was the idea that at that time you were, you know, you're neurodivergent, you were autistic, and I love that you have now said this is now who I am to the world by becoming the autistic bookkeeper. And people that are for it and here for it will want you and love you and want to be, and people who are not won't, and then that's great. Then that means you get just the right clients to work with. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, that's so good. So good. Oh my goodness. Well, in our final time together, Nathaniel, this is one last question I have for you. And again, I might have to have you on again. It's another point.
I would love to.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But here's another question that parents often have. Um, the word autism and person with autism, person first language versus autistic person. Um, Personally, as a family, we use autistic. My daughter's autistic. That's what we use. Tell me your perspective on that shift in language, because again, person first was something that was taught to, just for people to understand a little bit of history, it was taught to professionals you know, in the medical arena and different professionals to more honor people who were autistic or on the autism spectrum. Person, they are a person first. This person with autism happens to just be a part of who they are, is not wholly who they are. Um, and so in the 80s, 90s, like that was a thing, and it has continued. However, we are hearing more and more from, like you, autistic self advocates, teenagers, adults, young adults, that they want to be referred to as autistic. They are autistic, just like they are blue eyed or they are, you know, dark haired. They are autistic. And so let me hear from you your thoughts.
Yeah, first of all, I always honor how anybody wants to identify.
Right.
I absolutely honor that and understand it. Everyone thinks differently. For me, I do prefer the term autistic. I
Mm,
view it as an intrinsic part of me, like you talked about.
mm,
To give a different perspective, this one made me laugh when I first heard it.
mhm.
Um, so I'm gay.
Okay.
And it would be very strange for me to say, I have gay, or I'm a person that's gay, or I'm a person with gay, or, you
Mm,
know.
yeah.
And that's how it feels for me when we're talking about autism. Like
Mhm.
I'm autistic.
Yeah.
It's something I was born with. It's something that's intrinsic to me, and it's not going to change. And I know for a lot of people, it describes a very specific image
Mhm.
that they have in their head, but that's not my problem.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, we need to change that narrative. Or now you can now have a different perspective of what that looks like. Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing. And you're right. We want to honor everybody for where they are. Ask the person and honor that. If they want to be referred to as that, so be it. But I guess I want to say, don't shy away from, if your child wants to be identified as autistic, you know, don't shy away from that, and honor that as well. So, you know, Nathaniel, it has been so great to have you here. I've just learned so much, and I thank you for sharing your voice with families. Again, families, you may be seeing this through our conference, through our online community, through our YouTube page, wherever you're finding us. If you want to learn more about autism and IEPs, reach out to us at the Sanford Autism Advocacy Group, sdautismhelp.com. If you need or know of someone who needs a bookkeeper, you can reach out to Nathaniel. Nathaniel, let people know how they can reach out.
Yeah, I have a website, and it is my business name, theautisticbookkeeper.com. And I have a consultation form that you can fill out, and I will reach out to you.
So great. Awesome. And you may also see this at the bottom of your screen. The QR code takes you to our website. You could always, if you do that, you can always email us. We'll give you Nathaniel's information. But again, he's easy to find, theautisticbookkeeper.com. So thank you again for being here today. Adventures in Autism Part 3, where we've been sharing perspectives from an adult self-advocate, Nathanael Low of the Autistic Bookkeeper. We are always here for you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us. You can also email us info, at sdautismhelp.com. Have a great rest of your day.